how do you then attract people and get them to stay to this new concept where there's so many Goliaths and it can, it'll scare a lot of people, particularly good people that are in very high paying jobs with large companies. And you need some of those people, as well as the wild-eyed entrepreneur folk who want to join your venture and take on Goliath. How do you attract these people and keep them?
And because I've worked in startups for a good portion of my career, this is always an issue. I mean, I think you probably recognize this. If you have an entrepreneurial spirit or bug or whatever you call it, it doesn't really matter. You're in it for the growth of the company and the thrill of doing the unknown. And I say that, I mean, you still need to pay people well, and we always, give equity. But we hire for that entrepreneurial spirit because we've hired people who, in my past, I've hired people who were Ivy Leagues, top of the class in their field, and they come in and it doesn't work in a startup. Like, they want the big money, they want the assistance and all the support that comes with that. You don't get that in a startup. And so we really found that hiring for that entrepreneurial spirit, hiring for curiosity, which is one of our biggest brand values, and I can tell you more about that in a second, but, and then hiring for, sort of someone willing to think outside the box, because that's what we need. There's no path to growth here that it has been defined in the past. And the Goliath thing, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but think about it, like any productivity tools that are coming out, and there's millions of productivity tools coming out, any SaaS products, they're all going up against the Salesforces of the world, all those big guys that, and then, so the classic stories are Airbnb. They went after the hospitality industry, and that is enormous in a way that people were like, no way is this going to happen. And I had that, just like the Phillips guy, but I had that people say that to me, like, hey, we can't, there's no way you can do this. Someone would have come up with it. Like, why would you think you could do this? And you think about Uber and Lyft, they came out, and the taxi industry was a whole different beast, right? That's a little bit like the mafia. But no one thought you could do it differently. And they're like, no, we can do it differently and better for today's use case. And those are all people coming from outside the industry, seeing a path to growth and a need in the marketplace and delivering on it.
Well, it also reminds me of Steve Jobs. So like Steve Jobs, like the Lisa wasn't the first computer to use that type of interface. Xerox PARC had come up with it. When he did the iPad, it wasn't the first, tablet type of thing. And even the phone, the iPhone, it wasn't the first phone.
No.
But he found a different way to do it. It sounds like that's what you've done. Before I forget, though, I want to ask you, you brought up this curiosity piece, and you said you'd talk more about that. Talk to me about that piece.
So one of the other things that's important when you're entering a crowded industry is that you can't be everything to everyone. I said earlier, the pain point that we have solved affects 87% of users. However, we're going after a tiny slice of that, and we've essentially created our own category in this industry. So in the earbud industry, every single brand uses music artists or athletes promoting music as their sexy sort of ambassadors to their brand. We've completely flipped that on its head. And when we did a deep dive on earbud usage, heavy earbud users, they love music, but they're listening to music on cans or in home speakers or on the stereo or on the car stereo. That's because you can get way better sound out of that than you can in the earbud space. Earbuds primarily are used for audiobooks, podcasts, streaming video, phone calls, and, meetings and such. That we've sort of defined this as the spoken word category or the knowledge seeker category. So our whole brand is predicated around this concept of the curious mind. And those who, that And do you listen to a lot of podcasts? I know you have a podcast, but do you listen to a lot?
I don't listen to a lot. I listen to some.
Okay. Well, you know that moment when you get like 20 minutes to yourself and you get to choose something that feeds your curious mind. It's like a brain vacation in the middle of the day. And it stimulates new thinking, and it gives you pause, and it helps you sort of work out things in your head, or just laugh, like listening to a funny podcast or something that is so thrilling where you take your mind off something else. Like those moments are so important, I think, to those who care about it. Why would they they shouldn't have to put up with the pain and the issues with today's earbuds. So that was one of the impetus for us creating Buderflys, is to give them this near seamless experience where it was so comfortable and so light in your ear that you didn't even feel like they were there.